Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Time Sports Network. Welcome to THSC Till I Die. I am joined today by two Irishmen who have just been giving me jip in the background for living in England. Rebel and Dermo. Rebel, how are you, buddy? Long time no see.
I'm doing good, doing good. I was rocking out there to the riff in that intro. It's quite a cracker. And I'm doing good. Looking forward to putting studs up and lampooning some financial fair play matters in a while.
I'm going to do that to make you smaller. And Dermo, how are you, mate? Obviously, did that show earlier. Sat in the background and watched. How are you feeling, buddy?
Knackered after the last 4 days. We've been working very hard. It's like my brain's gone dead. We've also started a new gaming channel that came out of nowhere today. So yeah, been busy, but looking forward to this. It's nice to talk about a bit of FFP, just to laugh at the other clubs that are struggling, and we can sit there thinking we've got money. We're not going to get done, and just laugh at Chelsea and all the other clubs. Just generally laugh at them, really.
Well, there you go. Demo just wants to laugh at people, as per usual. Normally me he's laughing at. But we're going to get into it, guys. Let's get into it straight away. So obviously, you can see here today's topics. Forest hit with a point deduction recently. It is new news. Obviously, breaking FFP in January. Rebel, I'm going to come to you first with this. FFP, you're a very financial person. You know your finances. Is it really like just worthy that they have been hit with the FFP, considering everybody else?
See, this is the part that bugs me about the whole FFP system. Certain clubs, who shall remain nameless for the time being, have been racking up charges left, right, centre. There's 115 of them or something at this stage. But then an Everton, a Nottingham Forest, who had singular, maybe 3 breaches at most, have been hauled across coals, have been made an example of, and all of a sudden they're in the news. Now, when you look at the treatment of these clubs, you're saying, okay, they're not a Tottenham, they're not a Manchester United, they're not an Arsenal, none of the big brand names that are product sellers for the Premier League, because they don't want to screw up Tottenham. They do not want to screw up Manchester United or Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Because we saw what they've done for Chelsea in terms of that sale. They bent over backwards to make the sale from Roman Abramovich to Todd Bowley happen. They cut probably God knows how much red tape to facilitate it. But it was made happen because it was bloody Chelsea and they were too big to go down. They were too big to fail. They were an important part of Premier League brand ethos. So I suppose before we kind of dive into Forest specifically, I think the application of financial fair play is elitist.
Dermo, Rebel's saying that it is elitist. Can you agree with that? I mean, we're seeing here at the bottom that Nottingham Forest point deduction there. PSL rules have created a real mess, says ex-chief Paul Faulkner. I mean, do you agree with Rebel? Is it to benefit the the bigger teams, should we say, than the smaller ones? Is it elitist?
It is elitist. It's there to benefit Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, all the teams that, well, especially Manchester City and Chelsea. It's there to help them. I mean, you look at how many charges Man City have against them and how long has it taken them. I haven't even got anywhere with them yet. But they would hit Everton. They would hit Forest. Looks like, I think, something they're going after Leicester as well. I don't know if that's on the women's side or the men's side, but that was breaking this evening. And I don't think FFP is fit for purpose. It isn't fit for purpose. It's not fit for purpose as anything. And for me, the clubs like Chelsea, you look at Chelsea, under Abramovich, they were spending money left, right, and centre. Bowley's come in, he spent up to $1 billion. Why is it the FA or the Premier League taking so long to fit them with punishments, where they feel it's quite easy to go and hit Forest and Everton with punishments? because they don't want to upset the big clubs, because the big clubs have the money to buy the best lawyers. The best lawyers will get them off it. And it is elitist. So I agree with Rebel 100%. It's very much elitist.
Yeah.
Well,
we will get to whether it's fit for purpose a little bit later on. But I mean, if we're looking at what's happened here, obviously Forest have now been put into the relegation zone.
Yeah.
Due to this, by 1 point, obviously Luton are now out of it. They're trying to punish teams suspending too much, all this and all that. But do they actually realise, and either one of you can answer this, do they realise that by deducting points like this from the smaller clubs, such as, your Evertons, Lutons, Burnleys, Sheffields, Forests, financially affects them because of what it does to them in the league?
I agree with you completely. And I suppose my big bugbear is just taking Forest and Everton, and let's throw Luton in there because they're benefiting from this at the moment in isolation. Originally, Everton were deducted 10 points. It was a gargantuan points deduction that was hauled off them because they breached a particular rule of financial fair play. The FA then didn't even have the cojones to stick to their decision, and they rolled it back to 6 points for a particular rule breach. Rolled it on a couple of months, and Forest finally had a decision made last weekend. But they didn't deduct 6 points from them. They deducted 4 for the same rule that was breached. Now, they haven't outlined whether there is stages of how much over the amount will kind of translate into an incrementally higher points deduction. Because on the face of it, what has happened is Everton broke financial rule A, Nottingham Forest broke financial rule A. The punishment on the face of it should have been the same in the way that it was dealt with. Now, these are still being fought, from what I understand. So, if you're Luton Town, right, and you're coming on to the final game of the season, and you're ahead of one of these clubs in the relegation fight, and you lose your last game, and you finish on the point that you finish on. A hearing is had 2 weeks after the season ends. Oh, we didn't apply the rule correctly. We're giving back 4 points to Nottingham Forest. We're giving back the 6 points to Everton. And we're going to start from scratch next year. Luton Town go down. How can the Premier League turn around and say, right, Luton Town, you have to go down now because a financial rule which is beyond your control, the sanction was overturned, and as a result, one of those teams that was in the bottom three is now out of the bottom three, and you have to replace it. How can you say that is a fair outcome if the FA cannot, or the Premier League, whoever it is that is investigating these matters and applying the points deductions, how can you say that you're capable of stewarding the Premier League when you can't even make one consistent decision and stick with it?
Dermo?
Yeah, I can't. There's nothing I can add to what Rebel has said. It's absolutely spot on. And what gets me is the way that the Premier League handle all this situation. They haven't got the cannolis. They haven't got the balls. They haven't got anything to go up against the likes of Man City. Right, you broke 115 charges. Now, UEFA proved that until Man City, whatever they did, got them to change their on appeal at CAS, which should have never been allowed in the first place. So we know what they've done. The Premier League should go around and say, right, you broke the rules, you're out the league. But they won't do it because it all comes down to that at the end of the day. How much money is Man City going to bring into the Premier League next season? If they win another Champions League, that's more money for us, more revenue. And they keep turning a blind eye to the big clubs breaking the rules, breaking financial rules. When it comes to the smaller clubs that need our help, that need financial help, the Premier League for the likes of Everton, well, the likes of say Burnley or Luton, that's keeping the clubs, that's a survival for some clubs. And the Premier League do not care about the smaller clubs. They care about the big clubs, and that's it, pure and simple, because it's all about the top six, and it's all about the image of the Premier League. We can't have one of the top six being thrown out of the league for breaking financial rules, because it would look bad on the brand of the Premier League, which for me is a lot of bullshit. And I'm sorry for saying that. I do apologise, but I think it is. It's sort of BS.
Oh, I mean, you're right. Sorry, Rebel.
Yeah, go on, Rebel. Sorry.
I tend to agree with you because we have seen big clubs go down because of financial breaches before. Look at the Italian league. Juventus spent a while sitting down in Serie B because of their indiscretions. Rangers got turfed out, not out of one division, but I think it was 4, wasn't it, in Scotland because of financial breaches. But the one I want to put to Dermot and you, Colin, as well, actually, is if you forget the other 414 indiscretions that City are charged with, one of the rules that they've been charged with is the same rule that Everton and Nottingham Forest have been found guilty of.
Yeah.
And this is a very cut and dried rule because there's a financial formula and you're either within threshold or you're outside of threshold. So at the very least, there should be, right, this is a quick win. We've dealt with 2 cases here. They should have got the same points deduction and we should have been just going, right, City, we'll deal with the other 114 in time because they're complex, but this one, you're losing 6 points. End off.
Yeah, it's true. It's spot on. I mean, you look at Chelsea under Abramovich, right? All the Mahoney's went by with them, right? With him being sanctioned because of what's happened in Ukraine, Bowley coming in, spending $1 billion. All right, we're gonna, basically go to the Premier League. We made a mistake. Okay, the other owners have overspent. We're just like, we're holding our hands up. There you go. Nothing said about it. Where's all these charges for Chelsea? Where's all these? And that's what gets to me. This is where I feel the likes of Chelsea, Man City have the best lawyers, the top loads of money, the best lawyers to get themselves out of this situation. And you look at Manchester United, for example, how much financial heartbreak they were in. Do you know, nobody was helping them. And I don't know if you and Rebel can tell me, Colin, but I think you were close to being charged as well with breaking FFP, I think, at one point, weren't you?
Well, we weren't very far off of it now. Just to bring that in, I have actually got. I'm only going to go through a couple because there's a lot of teams at the minute. Oh, sorry, Moss, mate. I didn't see you there. I was a little bit. I was a little bit busy trying to sort stuff out on the other side. So obviously Everton is 520 million. Chelsea 409 million. Aston Villa 306 million. Manchester United 302 million. All these things. But nothing's happening.
I've actually got a PDF here, Colin, if I can bring it up. 9 teams out of the last 3 years have broken FFP.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more than 9.
Arsenal were 10 million over FFP. Everton were 500 and something million. They were in the minus. Do you know what I mean? Chelsea are down there, nearly $1 billion they've spent. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But we'll move on to Everton. Obviously, Everton is another team that has been hit with a point deduction. However, they've had some points given back, which is not something you tend to see a lot of. But we're saying here, Everton survival threatened. Dermo, Everton going to stay up?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they're going to get hit again. I think it'll be another 6 or 7 points deduction. I don't think they will. I think Everton have to go down, I think, to sort of come back up again. A bit like the Phoenix of the Flames, if you know what I mean. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to get done and end that, but then dusted for me. And they deserve to. They deserve to go down because of the way that the owners have managed the club. And what gets me is the fans are the one that suffer at the end of the day. It's not the owners, it's not the players, it's not the manager, it's the fans. And I feel sorry for Everton fans, but I don't feel sorry for the owner of Everton. And I think they will go down personally myself.
Rebel, do you agree, or do you see it from a different kind of perspective?
Well, I think Everton had been flying upstream for a long time at this rate because there has been trouble with their ownership. There has been trouble with the financials there outside of FFP related matters. So you look at that squad, and outside of a couple of players, it's really a championship level squad, isn't it? Because they're kind of punching above the weight because of the performances of the likes of a Braithwaite or one or two other kind of star players. And when those bones are picked, because there are vultures that are the top six floating around those two or three key assets, and when they are taken away, that's when Everton will kind of, I suppose, hit their rock bottom, their point where they can start climbing from again. And I have to kind of agree with Dermot in that it has to get worse to get better for Everton. Now, whether that triggers a need to do a flash sale of the ownership from the club, maybe that is what will be the start of their rebirth in terms of getting back to where they are. Like, it is sad for a team like Everton, who have never been relegated from Premier League football, to be in this position. Now, to those that are pre-1992 vintage, such as ourselves here on the channel, yes, I'm fully aware football didn't start in the Premier League era, but I suppose I'm just taking the record that they hold in terms of the current top flight as it stands. And they are one of the clubs that has been stalwarts of the division since its inception.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk about Manchester United, we've been making loss after loss after loss due to mismanagement, which is quite a different position to City, who were doing deals that were not quite at arm's length in order to boost their sponsorship. Because I don't know about you, but there's no world around that the commercial ability of a Man City is bigger than a Liverpool or a Manchester United in the Premier League, because they are known brands that are globally bought into. Arsenal, similar. Tottenham are a much bigger brand than Manchester City. So there's no way in hell that City would have had the ability to attract that level of an investment. But that's a different story. What's concerning for me, though, is when you look at what's been done to your Everton and your Forest. In January this year, we had mutterings that the Premier League were going to change the way that they apply financial fair play to align more with the European model. Now, apparently, if that European model was applied in the cases of Forest and Everton, they would be okay right now. So you kind of have to nearly say, well, we're either going to bury Manchester City and everybody else that has fallen into the category, the same as Everton and Nottingham Forest, or you're going to draw a line in the sand and say, right, lads, the Wild West was in place. This is the rules, and the sheriff is going to be applying them. There is no second chances.
But I mean, with you saying about obviously throwing the book at City, this has, I've just found this, and this has come from the Daily Mail. So Chelsea and Man City have been sent warnings over financial fair play rules. Both clubs could be booted out of top flight if found guilty of breaches. So it looks like the Wild West old sheriff gunslinging approach is being taken. No prisoners. Is this a good thing? Are we seeing that this is a good thing, or is this just going to destroy football?
No, I think it's a good thing. I mean, you look at any walk of business, you break any financial laws in any other business, you would be punished and go to prison, or you would be fined heavily, and you'd be barred from doing anything within that industry. Football has to be the same. Football is a multi-billion-pound industry. So you have to go along with the same laws, like in the banking world or some other world that uses these sort of laws. You have to use the teams the same play. It's like sending Chelsea, Man City, right? You're going to prison. That's booting them out of the league. They've got to be taught a lesson, and the precedent has to be put down. If Chelsea and Man City are going to get booted out of the league, if we do that, so can we. We're not doing that. They've got to be made an example of. And I want to say something, go on what Rebel said about Man City and Liverpool and Tottenham and that. Man United have been a brand as long as I can remember. Liverpool have been a brand as long as I can remember. It's only the last, say, 20 years that Tottenham have become a brand. Do you know what I mean? Not in the same league as Manchester United and Liverpool. And Man City, people seem to forget, Man City were in the second, third division a little while ago, before the Premier League. Or I think during the early years of the Premier League. Chelsea, back before the Premier League, were in Division 2. So I think if you're prepared to bend the rules and break the rules, you should be prepared to take the punishment. And I think they're going to have... And again, it's the fans that get hit. I get that. But the clubs should be made to pay. This is what you do. You get caught cheating. You get caught breaking financial fair play. You get caught bending laws on getting in sponsorship. Then, okay, you get charged. You get thrown out. And I'm very strong on that.
Yeah, I can see you're very strong with that. I mean, Rebel, is this the way it has to be now? Is this the only option?
Yeah, it was just a touch on the Man City comment. They went down in 95, 96. So they spent 4, 5, 6 years out of Premier League football. And I think they even went down a second time, if I remember correctly, during that time, and had to climb back. So to build a brand, to generate the level of money that their books were purporting, it just would require genius level marketing, and you would have to be able to produce records that would say that everything was at arm's length. But in terms of financial fair play, you and me and Colin, we all are part of the workforce, and we have to pay our obligations to revenue or HMRC.
Yeah.
If HMRC are looking at your books and records and you are afoul of any of their rules and regulations, it's bang, bang, tax, interest, penalty. There is no absolution. There is no getting out of it. It's either you're guilty or you're not guilty.
Yeah.
And there's no other way about it. There's no in between. There's no grey area. And any club that has been found afoul of HMRC rules has found the bitter taste of a tax, interest, and penalty settlement slapped across their face. And in some cases, it's caused them to either go into a spiral where they have to be liquidated, sold, or whatever. But you don't argue the toss of the coin once revenue have made their final decision on it. And that's the way I think Premier League needs to be looking at any club that is under its brand. You need to be fully accountable for every single transaction that you're reporting has taken place. And if we're saying that it's okay for me, as the Manchester United owner, say, to give Dermot 100 million, who in turn will pay 90 million for sponsoring the little lip of my sleeve. If that's okay, then it needs to be written in stone. Okay, that's okay. I, as a rich business owner, can give money to my buddy Dermot, who can then sponsor my team and essentially give me back 90 million of my money as a backdoor entry into the club. If that's okay, then the rules need to state that.
Yeah. I agree. What gets me is you look at all these clubs that are doing all these dodgy dealings, and there's little clubs in the lower leagues going to the wall. There's teams in League 2, League 1, especially League 2, that them players are only on enough to pay their mortgage every month. And some of them teams, players are not even getting paid for down there. And the Premier League for me is pig-headed. I think it's the wrong word. I think they're so up their own arse. Like, we're above everyone else. This doesn't bother us. And this is some of these clubs as well. They're up their own ass. They think normal laws or normal situations do not apply to them. And it does apply to them. Man City, however they got out of the UEFA charges, got out of them. And everyone's seen the YouTube documentary. We'll leave that documentary knowing that was a stitch-up. They got out of that. Brown paper bags, whatever. And I just feel they just think it doesn't apply to us. We don't care. This is where the Premier League have to grow a pair of balls and say, yes, it does affect you. Yes, it does. You do have to pay the penalty for breaking the laws. That's it. You're out of the league. And forget about the brand. Forget about what it means for the top six. The Premier League will get more money put into it if they were to do that to Man City and Chelsea, because then they'll be able to say, look, we're quite able to run our own business properly and within the laws of the game. Not letting too many people coming in and break the laws. Well, don't worry about it. He's my mate. Here's a couple of 100 million for you. You know, let's put it away. It's wrong. And the Premier League's going to go the same as Serie A went in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, with all the corruption, and it destroyed the league. It destroyed what the brand of the league was about. Because in the 90s, the Italian league was the biggest league in Europe. It's not now. The Premier League is. And the Premier League's going down the same road as Serie A back then. And that's what's going to end up. It's not going to affect the clubs. Again, it's going to affect the fans. And this is where people don't big clubs don't think about fans. But it's you with Man United, me with Spurs. We give our money, our lifeblood to these clubs. But is us going to suffer at the end of the day? Do you think Ten Hag's gonna worry if Man United, or do you think Pochettino's going to worry if Chelsea get booted out? He'll just leave. He'll leave and go somewhere else. It's not going to bother him. But Mr. Joe Blogg, who's been following Chelsea for the last 40 years, it's going to bother him when his team's playing Accrington Stanley in League Two. I don't know if you want to go, Donny.
Hey, we're not going to be in League Two next season, thank you. We're going to be in Conference. I just want to say big up to Keeler. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well. He says big up Dermo, Cole, and never big up nonetheless.
Do you know what,
Rebel?
Colin? You sound like the T-Shock who Leo the League, as Rebel calls him. Because if you ever hear him right, he goes, I am
I sound like Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, he keeps erming. So every other word is I'm resign
I know.
Me and Rebel know what we're talking about, but he is a bit of a and then
you know what,
the others,
you're just reminding me. I think I know where the inspiration for that stupid Sky is that coming from now.
Yeah, that's it from Leo. I never thought of that until tonight. Now, till you said it, so there you go.
Cheers to Keeler. I appreciate that. He is asking if Southgate's been appointed yet. No, he isn't, and he can sod off.
He's been appointed in the morning. Jim Ratcliffe's giving them a Ferrari.
Right, you can shush and all. Right, shush you. Rebel. This is a no holds barred. You can go all guns ho. Manchester City, how are they still not being punished?
I'll be honest with you. In UEFA's perspective, they muddied the waters and they contaminated their evidence chain, and that's why Man City got off. They found a technicality, they rammed it home to the court, and UEFA were caught having muddied the waters. They should have made sure that everything was in a row and quacking before they pulled down the hammer on Manchester City. They didn't. They botched it. Maybe that was deliberate. I'm not going to insinuate that It was because I don't want to be sued by UEFA. But when you look at financial fair play, I think what we've seen is obviously knowing who they're owned by, Man City. That particular area of the world has created a pro league at the moment that's playing obscene amounts of money to globally recognized players. And I think the reasoning for that is they're trying to break financial fair play and basically turn their toys in the Premier League into a business that they can do whatever they want with. If they want to spend £1 billion to bring Mbappe to Premier League, they want to be able to do that. And they want to blow every single small local club out of the water to the point where coming up from Championship would be completely and utterly pointless. That's what their aim is. Manchester City, 115 charges. And look, I don't even understand 90% of the charges that they've been found in breach of. And I worked in finances for quite some time. But the reality is, they've falsified their incomings. They've to use money in a fashion to buy players and ultimately win titles and Champions Leagues and whatever else. And they haven't done it in a means that every other club, we hope, has been adhering to within Premier League. The reality is, now it's time to pay the piper. The Premier League has to protect its product. Everybody needs to be working within the same guidelines. If some clubs are able to do a bit more because of their size, that is the nature of the beast. You do not expect the Doncaster Rovers, which they come up from Championship to Premier League, and be in a position to compete off the rip. It'll take a number of years of their profile being expanded, slowly developing a Premier League caliber team, and then maybe having somebody go, do you know what now? I'm looking for a bit of Premier League action. Doncaster Rovers are owned by some local businessman. I'll buy into that. I'll turn them into a team in 5-6 years that will be capable of winning Premier League. That's the way that you'd expect a club that hasn't been embedded in the top league in England to, I suppose, grow. Like, we expected Wolves to become a big thing when they came up from Championship. I think now they're financially in big trouble. Newcastle, they were all blustered. They bought a whole pile of players. And all of a sudden now, it doesn't look like they might even qualify for Europe at this stage. So, when you look at Man City, they have been taking the continental piss. And it is now up to the Premier League to say, okay, lads, this cannot continue. And now it's time that you paid. Now, personally speaking, I don't want any of their dirty trophies that we may have been in line for if they hadn't been utilising the market to a means that it wasn't intended. I don't want to see any of those recredited because they're tainted. They're tainted, and there'll be no joy from having those added to us. So Manchester City need to be hung, drawn, and quartered and brought back into line and operate the same as every other club. Similar to any owner that buys a club to financially erode and destroy its assets needs to be pulled out into the streets, have the shame bell behind, and walk down the streets of London atoning for their sins.
Demo, I'm going to come to you now. Obviously, Rebels had his say on the matter. 115 charges for Man City. If I take if I decide, I'm going to squat and curl out 115 shits and throw them at the wall, one of them's going to stick. Why is nothing stuck yet? Sorry, but it's an analogy.
You've now put an image in my head of you doing that. Just spending the whole day. Right, let me see what sticks.
It's true. It's true. One of them's going to stick.
Yeah, can I just bring this up, Colin? This is what I went. Sorry, I didn't mean, but this is what I had done the other day. Now you look at Manchester City there, winner, 6th place, right? technically over a 3-year, they only lost 4.8 million, right? Over a 3-year period. That even them figures don't look right. I'm sorry, they just don't look right. We know Man City have fudged their books for years. And if you have 115 charges, one of them, just one, will stick. But it's not going to stick because they're not going to want to upset the apple cart, the Premier League. They're not going to want to upset Saudi is it Saudi Arabia? Not Saudi Arabia. Who owns Man City? It's Qatar.
The Qatar, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the Qatar. They're not going to want to upset the Qatar royal family or the Qatari whatever, because they know they're pumping billions into the Premier League. And it's ridiculous, Colin and Rebel. It is mind-blowing.
Just for clarity, Abu Dhabi, by the way.
Oh,
Abu Dhabi, yeah. 9 teams from Arsenal down have broken FFP rules. And you're telling me Manchester City only broke 0.5 million over a 3-year period. Give me another one. If that isn't fixing their books, I don't know. Nothing is. I mean, Colin, they should be thrown. I agree with Rebel. Send them down the middle of the high street or the main street with a bell behind them, with a big stone ball, and just say with a thing over them, "We are fucking Egypt. We broke the law."
I do want to just say sorry. Sorry, Tequila.
You look at the little teams. You look at Forest. You look at Everton. You look at the teams that have now gone to the wall. The people that have lost their jobs. The players that have lost incomes to pay their mortgage. Do you know, it doesn't bother the Premier League. The Premier League, for me, is the greatest league in the world. But I see it in another way. It's not fit for purpose. As a brand and as it's run. The Premier League is run for themselves. The Premier League is run for the top 6. The top 6, we don't care about anyone else by ourselves. The rest of the league can go and stuff themselves. The Premier League need to grow a pair of balls and say, right, Man City, 115 charges. You muddied the waters with UEFA. You ain't going to muddy them with us. You're found guilty. Out you go. If you do the crime, you do the time.
I wish it was as easy as that. I really, really do. If it was easy as that, I think it had already happened by now.
But it can be as easy as that, Colin. It can be. It's the Premier League. What it is, the Premier League don't have the appetite to fight Man City or relegate them or deduct them 100 points. They don't have the appetite to do that because they know it's hurting their brand. And Lord of behold, they do not want to hurt the brand because the Premier League is the biggest league in the world.
I agree, Dermot.
They don't have...
They're either cheating gobshites or they're not, aren't they?
Yeah. You can't have it two ways. It's the Premier League don't have the appetite. And this is why City are still allowed to go on. City could win a couple of trophies this season.
They won't, but they could.
But yeah, I don't think they will either. But I think they're looking at the Champions League and that's it. But how many years have City beat us in the League Cup final? Beat you lot in an FA Cup final? How many tournaments did they win or trophies did they win that are tainted by what they did between 2012, 2013? It started, they've gone back to up to now.
My understanding is that Liverpool would have 2 extra league titles. United would have 2 extra league titles. I think you would have a couple of domestic cups. We have 2 FA Cups. So it's quite a substantial list of trophies that they may not have won had they operated within the confines of Premier League rules.
If Chelsea had to get done as well, we get a league title as well. So FA, where are you? Premier League, what are you doing? Come on, give us our trophies. We won them.
Well, you didn't, but it's always worth saying it. I mean, that kind of goes into the next thing there. Who's next? There's a list of teams that are under scrutiny. Man United are one of them. Arsenal are being looked at. Villa, West Ham, Luton, Wolves, Sheffield United. I mean, your first couple, your Man United, Arsenal, probably West Ham and Villa, it wouldn't affect as much. It wouldn't really mean anything to them unless it was a massive, massive point deduction. But the likes of Wolves, Sheffield, and Luton, this could literally destroy their club.
It can. I mean, you look at that there column. I don't know if this is correct, but this is the 3 year 1920, 2021, 22, 21, 22. 9 clubs there. I said it before, have broken FFP. Where's the Premier League going to look at them? Wolves are there, Palace are there, Brighton are there, Fulham are there. I was surprised to see Man United there, to be fair. Aston Villa are there. And you look at Chelsea and Everton. It rarely is. You're spot on. They're going for the smaller clubs because they know they will get the proper result out of it. They won't get it against the big clubs.
Just to kind of speak on why United there, it's because of the mismanagement of transfer funds. When you look at the overpayments that we made for playing assets versus what we were bringing in from sales, it's not a surprise that in conjunction with the heaps upon heaps of financial debt that we were servicing, that we would be in that position. So Manchester United has put itself in that position because of large borrowings and just unintelligent behaviour in the transfer market. But just to kind of pick on one of the clubs there, call them Wolves, I think even without an investigation from Premier League, I think they're a club that are probably just about skating above water at the moment because it has been well documented due to all those wonderful players brought in by the super Portuguese agent that Wolves have stretched themselves. And in essence, they probably didn't a Leeds in the Dave O'Leary era and overstretched their ability. And now, when it's time to pay the piper, are suffering for it.
I mean, I've just seen this, and I just want to get your views on it. I'm going to put it in the little chat box. Hopefully, it was. There we go. So this is from. Let's have a look. iNews, and it might not be the most reliable. Mark Douglas, Northern correspondent, and he is saying that the FFP rules are not fit for purpose, and that Newcastle are being punished for being ambitious.
Yeah, agree with that, 100%. Absolutely agree with that. And I mean, whoever come up with the rules of FFP must have been in the pub drinking for about a 3-day session because the rules just don't make any sense. They don't make any sense whatsoever. And now they're changing the rules because they found out, well, hang on a minute, it doesn't suit our narrative. So let's all get together. Let's change the rules and make it in our favour. Newcastle couldn't spend a penny in January because of FFP. It doesn't make sense. It makes my blood boil. This is not football. This is not the game we love. This is not the game what we grew up loving. We all knew all the top clubs were in debt. But they went by. They got by. And it just makes my blood boil. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm so fed up of all of this. If you're going to charge somebody, charge them. You're going to kick them out, kick them out. Just fucking have the balls to do it, for Christ's sake.
Rebel? You're on mute, mate.
Sorry, Dermot, you say that we always knew that teams were probably making losses from time to time. If you remember pre-Glacier, I don't think Manchester United ever found themselves in a position where they weren't making money.
No. Man United were like the reliable ATM machine. Do you know what? Honest to God, they were. Tottenham have gone through years of really nearly going out of existence. We did in the late 80s, early 90s. And everyone may criticise Daniel Levy, but he's made Tottenham into the most sustainable club financially. We're sustained now for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And I think Daniel Levy, I know there's a lot of Levy outers in our fan base, and believe me, he does put his foot in it more times than he does. But I think he's laid the blueprint how to run a football club.
You need to be careful. You've said Daniel Levy's name, and our viewers have just jumped up. Don't say it anymore, Jesus.
Do you know what, Dermot?
Just a
quick one on Dan Levy, actually. When you look at what might have been on paper one of Tottenham's worst acquisitions under Daniel Levy, which was Charlison, all of a sudden now he's playing well. And Dan Levy's probably thinking, right, who can I get a bit of money off of here and make a profit on this guy while he's blowing a hot hand?
Yeah. It's true. Look, I was listening to Simon Jordan earlier. Now, Simon Jordan isn't everyone's cup of tea. But I like what he has to say. And he said something earlier, which was talking about FFP and financial. Tottenham and Liverpool were criticised for taking the furlong scheme during COVID. Absolutely ridiculed. But it was the right thing to do. Because clubs were losing money left, right and centre. And I don't think the clubs haven't recovered from COVID either. I think a lot of these teams that are struggling now with FFP have not recovered from COVID. And this is where the Premier League, I think, should have said, right, we're going to relax the rules a little bit for the teams that are struggling. And for the teams that are not struggling, right, we're going to keep an eye on you. And I don't want to see an Everton or a Luton get relegated because of FFP. That would be heartbreaking. If a team goes down, it should go down for their ability on the football pitch, not for their ability in the courtroom or in some room somewhere where nobody knows what's going on, and suddenly it's announced on Sky Sports News or on Full-Time Sports Network or on our channel or something like that, going, Everton have now been relegated because of FFP points deduction. Do you know, you want it happening on the pitch, not in the courtroom.
Like, I suppose when the Premier League are looking at it, Everton probably have Lionel Hutz to put a Simpsons quote on it, whereas Man City have Mr. Burns' legal team.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Dermo, you can take your gloves off, mate. I've given Rebel the opportunity to. You can now. FFP rules, not fit for purpose. If not, how can they improve? Or should we just scrap the whole thing and let's just chuck balls of money at things? Or should we just, take up the Avengers initiative and just run in there and smash everything up?
Well, if you want to take the Avengers initiative, I would be whole going and smashing up Man City and Chelsea. That's what I'd be doing. But no, seriously though, FFP is not fit for purpose. It wasn't. It was brought in to help the bigger clubs get richer and the smaller clubs get poorer. That's what it was brought in to do. I think FFP, if they are going to change it, it has to be the same rules for everyone from top to bottom. It doesn't matter if you're a Man United, Man City, Tottenham, Chelsea, down to Sheffield United, to Burnley, to Fulham. It has to be the same for everyone. And you cannot have a system where a club that's been charged 115 times are allowed to continue in that competitions or continue in that league or competition for them to win that league or competition at the end of the season. It's making a mockery out the Premier League. It's making a mockery out of football. And the sooner football gets its house in order, the better. And we don't want any independent regulators coming in trying to tell us how to run our own game. Football has been government free for over 200, I think, for nearly 200 years. Well, do you know what I mean? For how long as football has been going? And I just think the Premier League, the EFL have to get together and come to some compromise. And also the Premier League the clubs have to get together and say, right, we're not having this. Because if you don't, I mark my words, in another 10, 15, 20 years, the Premier League's going to be in the same state Serie A was back in the late 80s, late 90s, early 2000s, where big clubs getting relegated to League One because of corruption and because of mismanagement. And the Premier League as a brand will then be forever tainted with that. Serie A will always be tainted with corruption. The Premier League will end up doing the same. And they need to sort it out now. If they can't find a rule to do it, then scrap the whole damn thing.
Rebel?
Yeah, I agree. Football in England actually has a duality of problems. One is this financial fair play issue, and the other is the farce that is the current state of VAR. Because we watched 6.5 minutes in a Villa game to make a decision. That is absolutely a ludicrous amount of time for a game to be stopped in order to check a rule. So they need to make simplistic changes, like in rugby, clear and obvious error. You will see fairly quickly whether or not there's substantive evidence to overturn the decision on the field. So if I'm saying that Cullum has committed a red card offence, I'm giving him a red card. However, I want to go to VAR to check that it was a red card offence. There has to be a clear and obvious error in my decision making. And if you can't establish that in the first 30 seconds, then there isn't one, and we move on. Premier League needs to fix the application of VAR because it is destroying the game. Like, these are like Jake Paul trying to box. He's going into a ring with Mike Tyson, Tyson, and he's going to get the ever-loving shite bait out of him. And I'm delighted that the gobshite.
We were doing a watch along to that fight, actually. I've now decided me and Colin will do a watch along to that fight.
Have you actually seen, I know we're going off subject a little bit, but have you actually seen Mike Tyson training?
Yes.
Yeah.
My God, that man is dangerous.
Jake Paul's going to die.
Yeah.
Jake Paul's going to go out there seeing 20 angels going around his head in the corner of the ring gun. What just hit me? There's Mike Tyson. Let me at him again. Yeah, exactly.
Tequila.
But Premier League basically is Jake Paul at the moment in the boxing ring.
Yeah.
They have two big problems staring at him in the face. And Mike Tyson, aka the fan base, is angry, is pissed off, and will not tolerate the game being destroyed to this level. So fix VAR, set your guidelines in terms of financials, and move on.
And back Mike Tyson to beat Jake Paul.
So, last little bit from both of you. What can we do as fans to help this? What can we do as fans to, help and ensure that FFP gets done correctly? Is it a case of boycotting Premier League? Is it protests? What is it?
I'm going to go quickly on this because
you can go first, probably. Yeah.
When you look at the anti-Glazer protests, and there was talk about empty Old Trafford and all this other stuff they wanted to do, the football brand, it won't be possible to do that in England. There will be people attending those games. There will be multi-million euro contracts with extra zeros on them given to Premier League to air those games. So in terms of us as a fan base, all we can do is make protests that make the news. And when I say protests, I mean protests that are within the legal confines, that are not going to get anyone arrested, that are not going to cause anyone to lose their privilege of attending football in the long term. But we are a small blip in the financial radar of the business that is football. Ticket income and even ordinary general sales of club merch are a small fraction of what club business is generated off of. They probably have a portfolio of properties that they've interested in. They have investments on stock exchanges. They have multi-billion-dollar deals with various shirt sponsors and car sponsors, and at this stage, big toenail sponsors, because you can market anything. The fan base, in terms of the financial regulations, I suppose, is that small, tiny little fly that's buzzing around your ear on a hot summer's day that you cannot get to fly out of the window. We're very much ancillary to what's going on when it comes to financial fair play. So, in terms of what we can do, absolutely nothing. But in terms of VAR, if the fan base makes a story out of it that all of a sudden Cavi and Sky decides, do you know what? No, the Tottenham fans, the United fans, the Arsenal fans, etc., they're all revolting with the way VAR is conducted, and we're going to do a Sky at 6 super special on VAR, and we're going to go behind the curtain and show its inadequacies. Then all of a sudden, that brings the brand into disrepute. The Premier League and all the club owners are kind of going, oh, no. We need to tackle this because it's affecting the product. It's affecting our bottom line. This needs to change. So we as a fan base, if we're going to try and influence anything, it's probably make VAR a big enough story that the big news agents are covering it.
Yeah. I think this is where we come into it. I'll start on YouTube channels. I think this is our opportunity to probably be the voice for the fan in the stands. This is our job. This is where we have to keep saying it. This isn't on. We have to come together as channels and try to voice our opinion on here. They're not going to listen to the fans in the stands, because as soon as somebody goes out, there's always going to be somebody that's going to go in. So you're right. Rebel is right in what he's saying, that you can't do boycotts because it's never going to work. What is going to work is people like Rebel, myself, you, Colin, Bobby, other channels as well, getting together and saying, this is killing the game we love. This is killing the team we love. And I think we have the responsibility to take it out there and make it a massive news. And send clips to Sky Sports or Talk Sport. We have to organise this ourselves, because fans can only do so much, but the clubs are not going to listen to them fans. They're going to listen to a little bit, then don't worry about it. But they will listen to us because we have a bigger voice than, say, a fan in the street has. And as for the VAR, I mean, they're changing it next season with My Cup, and you're going to hear what the referee is saying and VAR saying. That's just joining the ranks of NFL. You might as well go in the middle of the street, in the middle of a field, and piss up against the wind, because you know what's going to happen. It's going to go. You're just going to wet yourself anyway. So it's pointless doing that. I think they need to get rid of VAR, leave it to the man in the middle. If he makes a cock up, he makes a cock up. It's an honest mistake. If you leave it to VAR, it's turned the game, and you can't celebrate a goal. You can't do anything because of VAR. It needs to go, and it needs to go now. But on the FFP, on everything Rebel has said there, what he just said, it's down to us, I think, as YouTubers, to be the voice for the fans. And we have to one that has to take the fight to these clubs and to the Premier League, and try to bring it onto a national page that the bigger companies like Sky Sports and Talk Sport would then start, hang on a minute, Colin Owen, Full-Time Sports Network, Dermo, THFC Till I Die, Rebel, Do Know All, some other YouTube channels, The Armory. What are they talking about? They're making a big noise about this. It's down to us to do it. We have to take the bat and take responsibility. And I think we can. And if we do, we will win.
Interesting. Sorry, I've just been sent something. I will put that back up later, but this is just been sent in. Is it going to pop up? So there we are. Leicester have been charged by the Premier
Mhm.
League over breach of allegations, profit and sustainability. I mean, is this going to affect Leicester's chances of getting back up to the Premier League, Rebel?
My understanding as it stands is that they could start Premier League season with -6, -8, minus whatever number of points next season if they do go up. But the question is, though, if they are in breach of whatever rules the Championship have in place and the Football League have in place, should there be action taken against them this season, which would take them out of the possibility of going back to Premier League and starting from that minus next season? But it's another case of the small club that are using, I suppose, a smaller team of lawyers that didn't have the savvy maybe to run interference and delay getting hauled in front of coals before a single charge is answered by Manchester City. So I suppose while I think that any club should be dealt with fairly and consistently, and if one club is in breach, any other club that has done the same thing should be found equally accountable. I do think we're very much seeing a pattern of small club getting hauled across the irons and being used as, to quote an Eamon Ryan, I suppose, tool bag situation that he uses in the Green Party. They're taking the easy wins. They're saying, "Oh look, we're great. We're taking on this situation, and we're getting results in financial fair play." But you're not. You're taking on a small club that probably has been foul because of the fact that their ownership had a tragic loss, that ended up getting renegated, that maybe got caught up in the glitz and the glam of winning one of the big trophies and overstretch its budget. But the serial cheaters, the ones that are consistently flaunting the rules, are not held accountable. So, like, in terms of Leicester, it sounds like their Premier League season is foobarred before it even begins if they get out of it next season, out of the Championship this year.
Yeah. And as you can see at the bottom there, scoring along the ticker, it is Wales 1, Finland 0. Brooks has scored. Dermo, you know, what do you think this means for Leicester? Because judging by it, they're not going to get any points deducted from him this season at all.
No, I think that's wrong. I think there should be. I think it should be the EFL should be charging them, not the Premier League. I think that's wrong to start off with. They did. I mean, I put it in there, but they did have Leicester. Leicester lost a club record of 92.5 million in the 12 months up to May 2022. I mean, that for a club size like Leicester, that's nearly 100 million. What the owners should be, I think they shouldn't charge the club. They should charge the owners. I think there should be a way of charging owners for mismanaging football clubs.
FFP, isn't it?
I don't know what you guys think of that. I mean, is that a rule they can bring in?
Oh, I love that. Haul them across the coals, burn them at the stake. Absolutely, yeah. I'd be fully behind that.
Yeah, see, I am from a Cork. My family are from Cork, so there is a bit of that rebel fight in me.
And just a small bit of breaking news as well. Saka's out of England. What?
You've just beat me to it. You just beat me to it. Yeah, Saka is out of the England squad.
And there's more breaking news. Ireland are still looking for their new manager. Apparently, they lost them down the back of the sofa in the FAI. Apparently, get through. Yeah.
Are you available for 6 games this season? We go up there and do it ourselves.
Yeah, I think so. You and me and Colin, I think we could run the Irish side quite happily.
I'm busy. I can't. Sorry.
No, we'll give you a good package. A packet of M&Ms and a Mars bar. And if you're really good, as a bonus, we'll give you 2 pints of Guinness free.
No. I'm going to take over Liverpool. I'm Klopp's replacement. I'm going to destroy
Tequila,
from the
please,
inside.
just go away, Tequila. Do not.
Yes,
speak to me.
Tequila. Tequila's saying, "Bring back Kenny." You've got two very. We are going to end things up here, though. We've been going for just over an hour, but we have got upcoming content. I'm going to come to you first, Rebel. What have you got coming up, mate? And where can people find you?
Well, more than likely, I'll probably be back here talking about Ireland next week, maybe. And if Dermot wants to talk about the green men of the Republic of Ireland and discuss the botch job that was the hiring process for the new manager, and maybe even look at the situation around Kelly's appointment, where Mick McCarthy was brought in at an interim basis and a defined date was given, and the ludicrousy of that. So maybe that might be an Irish football special next week that we'll loop in, maybe around that second international friendly, Dermot, if you're interested.
I am up for that. That's no problem. I'll get you and Colin on actually with me and Mr. Brady before the Ireland game as well, or just after the Ireland game, because we'll have a bit of a post-match and look back on it. So definitely, I'm up for that. That'd be cool.
Well, that's where you'll find Rebel. Dermot,
Yo,
over to you, buddy. What you got coming up, and where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me, of course, on THFC Till I Die. I'm the home of Tottenham, past, present, and exciting video, Ange Postecoglou. We've got pre-match, post-match, the Daily Hotspur news show as well, every day at 4. Also, we've got a new gaming channel, Double Dumb Gaming, because me and Colin are going to do a load of F1 24, EA Sports 24. Colin's going to do a load of wrestling and stuff like that. So, yeah. Plenty to be found. Hit the like button, hit the subscription, jot on here, and on we go, guys. Come on.
Sorry, did you say Formula 124?
F1 24.
Is there a new one?
Yeah, coming out in May.
Oh, nice one.
And obviously, you can find me right here on the Full Time Sports Network. You can find me everywhere, because I am absolutely everywhere at the minute. I've gone onto channels that I haven't been on in God knows how long. But you will find me tomorrow on DDG. You've seen what I've done there, Rebel. Double Dumb Gaming, DDG.
That was the hair.
Yeah, he didn't click on when I said that name. But yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Best thing to do is just keep an eye out, where I will be starting the DDG Universe, Creator Universe career mode on WWE 2K24. If you want to get involved, there is only one thing you need to do, and that is to have a wrestler in the game. I am talking like a geek right now. I don't really care. And if you are interested, bear with me. I'm going to put this in here. There we go. It is in there. Feel free to join the Discord, which is in the comments now, and we'll get it all sorted that way. But from me, it's good night. Dermo's already gone, and he's run away and said good night.
I'm here.
From Dermo, would you want to say good night, Dermo?
Yeah, good night from Dermo.
And Rebel.
I'll talk to you through the week. If I don't, good night.
And we are out. Goodbye. If I can find the outro. I can never find this outro. People keep moving stuff. Where's the outro? I don't know where it is. It's here. Bye.